Recently, I haven't bought any new single-player story games for my PS5. The last one for me was Death Stranding 2 because lately I've been playing Arc Raiders a lot. But 007 First Light was one of those games that instantly got my attention the moment it was revealed. So I picked up the physical copy for my PS5 Slim on its launch day, and after playing it for the past couple of days, I've got some thoughts plus what I think is the best way to experience this game on a base PS5 or PS5 Slim. And if you're starting this game for the first time and wondering whether you should play in quality mode or performance mode, here's my honest experience after testing both. I will also be showing the game running on my LG C4 OLED TV just to give you the POV on how it looks on TV, but this won't be some super technical breakdown with frame, graphs and pixel counting. This is more about how the game actually feels while playing it on a normal PS5 Slim setup. Before talking about what graphics mode I prefer and recommend, let's first understand what is the difference between this game running in performance or quality mode. In performance mode, the game runs at a solid 60 FPS and 720p with FSR 3. You might think, well, 720p, but actually 720p with FSR 3 looks way better than the native 720p, as it uses super resolution technology by Sony. And in quality mode, the game runs at 30 FPS, targeting around 1000 pixels. So basically, you will find performance mode more smoother, while quality mode will give you more visual details. After tweaking between performance and quality, I think performance mode is the best way to play 007 First Light. Now don't get me wrong, quality mode definitely looks cleaner, sharper, especially during cinematic scenes and close-up character moments. The lighting still looks really good, reflections look cleaner, and overall the image has a more cinematic presentation. But the moment gameplay starts, especially during combat, movement, aiming and fast camera motion, I immediately started noticing the lower frame rate and slight jitteriness. And if you're someone who already spends most of your time playing 60 FPS game, the difference becomes very noticeable pretty quickly. For me personally, after spending so much time recently playing fast-paced FPS games, jumping straight into a slower, story-focused game like this felt a little weird at first. The combat, gunplay and camera movement almost felt slightly delayed compared to what I used to, like something just was not fully lining up with my muscle memory. That's why I think tweaking the camera and aiming settings early on makes a huge difference. Performance mode already feels smoother overall, but once I adjusted the sensitivity settings, the gameplay instantly started feeling much more responsive. The aiming felt better, movement felt more natural, camera panning felt cleaner, and overall the controls started matching the faster feel I'm normally used to from FPS games. So if the game initially feels a bit slow or heavy to you, don't worry too quickly, try experimenting with your sensitivity settings before judging the gameplay. And honestly, for a game that has stealth, shooting, driving and quick gadget action, smoothness matters way more here. One thing I also highly recommend doing immediately when starting the game is turning off motion blur completely. I personally never liked heavy motion blur in games, and in 007 First Light it instantly felt cleaner once I disabled it. I also turned off camera acceleration and manually increased my horizontal, vertical and aim sensitivity until the controls felt more responsive for me. And honestly, those small settings changes alone made the gameplay feel way better. Now let's talk a bit about the game. Now, before people jump into this game and start judging it too quickly, I think there's one important thing players should know. The beginning of the game is actually pretty slow, but once you're almost 1.5 hours in the game, it starts to feel more fun and fast. But still, it's a game based on a movie. You will still see a lot of cutscenes, which some people like and some don't, but I'm enjoying it personally. The title First Light actually has some meanings. This is not peak James Bond 8, this is basically the origin story. You'll be seeing how Bond becomes Bond and how the 00 agents are trained and formed.
I would like you to join His Majesty's Secret Service. I want to make you a spy.
So the game starts with practical training sections where you slowly learn the combat systems, stealth mechanics, movement, gadgets and all the basics of becoming 007. And yes, the training part is definitely longer. But once the first real mission starts and the gadgets begin opening up properly, the game suddenly starts feeling way more exciting. That's when it finally started feeling like I was playing through an actual Bond movie.
Hold on.
The pacing gets faster, the action improves, the mission becomes more cinematic, and the gadget gameplay becomes way more fun. Visually, I still think the developers did a really good job on a base PS5 overall. As I'm playing it on my 42-inch LG C4 OLED and it looks really good. Here's some POV on how it looks on TV. But I'll also be honest here, games like Death Stranding 2 and even Arc Raiders already set a very high visual standard for me in terms of what the PS5 Slim is still capable of visually. So while 007 First Light definitely looks great, but visually it did not fully give me that same wow feeling I got the first time I played Death Stranding 2. I also personally think some of the driving sections and gunfires could have been more polished. Especially driving, I wish there was more freedom with driving. What I noticed is your driving is usually assisted, which does not feel more natural, and I think it is to progress the story faster. Not bad by any means, but definitely an area I think they can improve in future 007 games. And honestly, considering this is their first modern 007 game, I actually think the foundation here is really strong. Because once the gameplay properly opens up with the missions, stealth sections, gadgets, and cinematic action moments, it genuinely starts becoming a very fun Bond experience. Overall, 007 First Light is a fantastic game. Just like a good James Bond movie, the team and the actor have done a great job, and it is really a fun experience to play it on your base PS5 or PS5 Slim. And I personally think and recommend Performance Mode is the best way to enjoy this game on your base PS5. Let me know what you guys think about this game, and if you have any setting suggestions for the base PS5 or PS5 Slim, please let us know in the comments below. As always, thank you for watching.
Clear the road! Hold tight.